When Blazing Saddles hit theaters in 1974, audiences didn't know whether to laugh or walk out. It wasn't just a comedy, it was an explosion. A loud, crude, chaotic middle finger to Hollywood's clean-cut cowboy myth. And it dared to do what few films had ever tried: make racism so absurd, so exposed that the audience had no choice but to laugh or squirm. Set in the Old West, the story follows a corrupt land baron who tries to sabotage a town by appointing a black sheriff. The townspeople are expected to panic and flee. Instead, they get Bart, played with cool precision by Cleavon Little, a sheriff who's sharper, funnier, and more competent than anyone in town. Especially the white folks who want him gone. On the surface, slapstick gunfights, fart jokes. Underneath, a full-blown satire shredding American racism, politics, and showbiz hypocrisy, in real time. But here's the genius. Blazing Saddles wasn't just about the 1800s. It was about 1970s America, a country reeling from Vietnam, Watergate, and a collapsing trust in power. Hollywood westerns still glorified white heroes while erasing everyone else. Mel Brooks didn't want to parody that, he wanted to destroy it. And to do that, he didn't work alone. Enter Richard Pryor, the most fearless black comedian of his generation. He co-wrote the film, injecting it with biting racial satire and a clarity about how absurd prejudice really is. Originally, Pryor was supposed to play Bart himself, but the studio refused to insure him due to his substance abuse record, a decision that nearly changed the entire tone of the film. Still, Cleavon Little brought his own edge, Broadway polish, dry wit, and a performance that never begged for laughs. Just deadpan genius. Blazing Saddles mocked everyone: racists, politicians, actors, studios, even the audience. It didn't want to be polite. It wanted to hit you in the face, then make you laugh at how ridiculous that slap was. And it worked. Loudly, offensively, brilliantly. But we're just getting started. Because buried inside this chaos is a scene no one noticed for 50 years. A mistake so bold it couldn't have been real. But it was. The most shocking scene in Blazing Saddles never even made it into the film. It's not a blooper. Not a behind-the-scenes accident. Not even a joke gone wrong. It was a deliberate moment, scripted, shot, and then buried. What? Because even Mel Brooks, the guy who put fart jokes in surround sound, thought this one went too far. Here's what happened. In the final cut, there's a cheeky bedroom scene between Bart and the seductive Lily Von Shtupp, played by Madeline Kahn. It's flirty, a little risque, but nothing outrageous. The original version? Very different. After a romantic dinner, the lights go out. The room fades to black. Then, in a thick German accent, Lily asks, "Oh, is it true what they say about you people? How well you are built?" There's a pause. And then Bart replies, "I hate to disillusion you, ma'am, but you're sucking on my arm." Boom. One line, flipping a racial stereotype into comedy, then undercutting it with deadpan brilliance. It was explosive, bold, and hilarious, but it never aired. Mel Brooks later admitted that he chickened out. He worried audiences wouldn't get the joke, that it would come off as the stereotype itself, not a commentary on it. He shelved it, quietly. No special features. No theatrical version. Just gone. But that wasn't the only moment cut. In early drafts, Lily's seduction goes even further. She doesn't just ask about the stereotype, she tries to see it for herself. Lines were written. Scenes imagined. But the physical comedy edged into territory that even Brooks, the master of walking the line, wasn't sure he could get away with. Ironically, years later he said he might have been wrong. "Maybe I got scared," he told one interviewer. He worried that instead of laughing at racism, audiences might reinforce it. Still, these missing scenes reveal something deeper. Blazing Saddles wasn't just going for laughs. It was slicing open taboos, testing boundaries, pushing satire to its razor edge. And sometimes, the edge pushed back point. One of the most iconic and flat-out absurd moments in Blazing Saddles? A fart. No, seriously. A full-blown Symphony of Beans cowboy fart scene. And it changed comedy history. Before 1974, no major Hollywood film had ever included a flatulence gag with actual sound. It just wasn't done. So what did Mel Brooks do? He doubled down. After test screenings, he went back and added more fart sounds in post-production. Because audiences were laughing so hard, they missed the end of the scene. What? Because this wasn't just toilet humor. It was a direct attack on the polished, heroic image of the American cowboy. For decades, Westerns had portrayed cowboys as stoic, noble, mythic. Mel Brooks wanted to tear that illusion apart. So he showed them sitting around a campfire, eating beans, and passing gas. Loudly. Proudly. Suddenly, these weren't legends on horseback. They were humans, sweaty, bloated, and real. Naturally, Warner Brothers hated it. Studio execs called the scene lowbrow, vulgar, pointless. Brooks ignored them. Because this chaos, this deliberate breaking of image and tone, was the entire point. And it didn't stop there. The final act of Blazing Saddles goes completely off the rails, in the best way. The climactic showdown literally breaks the fourth wall. Characters crash through fake saloons, burst into other film sets, invade a Hollywood street, and eventually walk into a theater showing the very movie they're in. It's absurd. It's messy. It's genius. But inside that madness, a real blooper slipped through. As the cast runs into the street, a man in a sweater, clearly not part of the scene, casually strolls across the shot. No costume. No script. Just there. He wasn't an extra. He wasn't even supposed to be on set. He was a random pedestrian who walked into cinematic history. Brooks saw it and said, "Leave him in." It's funny. And it is. Because in a film where nothing makes sense, the unplanned moments felt more real than anything you could write. If there's one word that defines Blazing Saddles, it's anarchy, but the kind Mel Brooks choreographed to perfection. The film was built on accidents, improvisation, and moments so bizarre they shouldn't have worked. But somehow, they did. Take the flashback to Bart's childhood. His family is surrounded by a band of warriors on horseback, a scene that looks like it's about to turn violent. Then the chief, played by Mel Brooks himself, speaks. But it's not Apache, not Navajo, not any native language. Yiddish. Lazim Jane. Let him go. The warriors nod. One even yells, "Shabos." It's surreal. It's ridiculous. And it's intentional. Brooks wasn't just making a joke, he was making a statement. For decades, Hollywood had reduced Native Americans to grunting, nameless enemies. No language. No nuance. Just others. So Mel flipped the script. By giving them Jewish dialogue, he exposed how absurd and offensive those old portrayals really were. This wasn't just comedy, it was satire with teeth. That same layered approach shows up in the film's opening song. You hear a booming, emotional Western ballad, sung by Frankie Lane, a legendary voice in serious cowboy cinema. Except no one told Lane the movie was a comedy. Brooks instructed the crew to keep him in the dark. So Lane delivered every line. He rode a blazing saddle, with dead serious, Oscar-worthy intensity. And that's exactly what makes it hilarious. It's irony at full volume. While the lyrics mock cowboy cliches, the voice singing them believes every word. That's the genius of Mel Brooks. He didn't need a laugh track or a wink to the camera. He let earnestness become the joke. And he welcomed chaos with open arms. Actors improvised. Timing shifted on set. Even the best scenes were born out of unpredictability. Gene Wilder ad-libbed lines as the Waco Kid. Cleveland Little's deadpan delivery added gravitas that wasn't on the page. Madeline Kahn invented her breathy, off-key performance of "I'm tired" on the spot. Brooks let them run wild, because he knew something most directors fear. Sometimes the best comedy comes from what you don't control. When Mel Brooks screened Blazing Saddles for Warner Brothers, the room was silent. Executives didn't laugh. They didn't clap. One finally broke the tension and said, "This is vulgar. No one will see it." Another called it career suicide. But Mel Brooks? He smiled. He was used to being doubted. This wasn't his first time shaking Hollywood. And it wouldn't be the last. Most directors would have been steamrolled right there. But Brooks had a secret weapon. In his contract, he negotiated final cut. That meant the studio legally couldn't censor or trim the film without his approval. They hated that. And now they were stuck. Ted Ashley, the head of Warner Brothers, wanted the film buried. His plan? A quiet, limited release, just a few theaters in major cities. Test the waters. Hope it flops. Then pull it quietly. But Mel Brooks wasn't having it. He believed in this movie, not just because it was funny but because it meant something. "This will make people laugh harder than anything they've ever seen," he said. And he bet everything on it. Even though production had already been a disaster. Richard Pryor, who co-wrote the script and helped shape its sharpest jokes, was supposed to star as Bart. But Warner Brothers refused to insure him due to his drug history. No insurance meant no role. Pryor stayed on as a writer, but the part went to Cleveland Little, a stage actor with no big screen credentials. Then came the second disaster. The Waco Kid was originally played by Gig Young, a respected actor, who showed up to set drunk. On day one, while filming upside down in a jail cell, he collapsed from withdrawal. Production stopped. Brooks was furious, so he called an old friend, Gene Wilder. Wilder said yes instantly, flew out the next day and saved the film. His performance, spaced out, soulful and weirdly wise, became iconic. Even John Wayne turned down a cameo. Said the film was too blue for his image. But privately? "I can't be in it," he told Brooks, "but I'll be first in line to see it." Turns out he wasn't the only one. Blazing Saddles was supposed to vanish quietly. A small rollout, a few theaters, then fade into obscurity. That was Warner Brothers' plan. But the audience had other ideas. When the film premiered in New York, Los Angeles, and Chicago, something wild happened. Theaters started selling out. Lines wrapped around the block. Some cinemas extended showings for weeks. Word of mouth spread like fire on the prairie. Audiences weren't just laughing, they were howling. Warner Brothers panicked. The movie they tried to bury was becoming a cultural event. Suddenly, the studio reversed course. They expanded the release nationwide, fast. The too offensive film they tried to hide made over $100 million and became the top-grossing comedy of the year. What caused the shift? Simple. Mel Brooks trusted the audience, even when the studio didn't. He knew people were ready to laugh at taboos. Ready to see racism mocked, not ignored. Ready for comedy that punched up, not down. But behind all the fart jokes and gunfights was something bigger. A film that broke Hollywood rules, and won. This wasn't just about satire. It was about a director battling an entire system and winning by making people laugh. The characters? Total chaos. The structure? Barely held together. The message? Crystal clear. And Mel Brooks didn't compromise. Not once. Not when executives begged him to cut the campfire scene. Not when they warned him the racial jokes were too dangerous. Not even when they said his career might be over. He stood his ground. And in doing so, Blazing Saddles became more than a movie. It became a moment. A cultural jolt. Proof that sometimes, the only way to take down a lie, like the myth of the American cowboy, is to blow it up with jokes loud enough to wake the whole town. And if that didn't work? Well, there was always a fart joke waiting. Behind every chaotic masterpiece is a cast crazy enough to pull it off. And Blazing Saddles? It had the perfect storm of talent, risk, and raw comedic instinct. Let's start with Richard Pryor. He didn't star in the film, but he helped build it. Pryor co-wrote the screenplay, injecting razor-sharp racial satire and fearless jokes that only he could land. He was supposed to play Bart, the black sheriff, at the center of it all. But the studio said no. Warner Brothers refused to insure him, citing his substance use and recent arrest. Legally, they couldn't hire him. It was a crushing blow. But Pryor stayed, kept writing, kept shaping the heart of the film. The role went to Cleavon Little, a Broadway actor, cool under pressure with no major film roles at the time. And it worked. Little brought quiet charm and precision. He didn't chase laughs. He owned them. When Bart pulls a gun on himself to outwit a lynch mob, he plays it deadpan. That calm confidence made the satire sharper, and it still lands 50 years later. Then came the Waco Kid, a washed-up gunslinger with the hands of a surgeon and the soul of a Zen master. Originally played by Gig Young, who collapsed on day one. Enter Gene Wilder. He said yes in a heartbeat, flew out immediately, and filmed the next day. His performance was effortless, mellow, weird, and perfect. His chemistry with Little gave the film its soul. Two outsiders who found sanity in each other while the world around them went insane. Harvey Korman as Hedley Lamar brought Shakespearean drama to a cartoonish villain. He made pompous funny. His delivery was so over the top, even the pauses were punchlines. Then there was Alex Karras as Mongo, the horse-punching, bull-riding brute who says, "Mongo only pawn, in game of life." He wasn't an actor, he was a former NFL star. But he nailed it. Every performer, from Madeline Kahn's breathy bombshell to Slim Pickens' clueless cowboy, delivered with total commitment. Why? Because Mel Brooks let them. He gave them freedom. Encouraged chaos. Trusted instinct. And that is why Blazing Saddles didn't just survive its own madness, it thrived in it. These actors weren't just saying jokes. They were making a point. And 50 years later, we're still laughing, and still thinking. If this breakdown made you see Blazing Saddles in a whole new light, hit that like button. Drop your wildest Mel Brooks moment in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more untamed film stories like this. Because sometimes the best way to change the world is to make it laugh first.